what people don't like to talk much about is like all the metadata leads you to a very bland place. There's
they
a
know
reason
exactly what people are watching, how long they're watching, when they tune out. They use all of that to decide what kind of stories they're going to greenlight.
And some of these companies, they're not really entertainment companies. They're computer companies that have a little tiny entertainment business. The great stuff is the unexpected stuff. You can't use an algorithm to make Taxi Driver. They're never going to ask you to do Taxi Driver. Yeah. They're never going to ask you to do Raging Bull. They're always going to ask you to do a very middle-of-the-road action film. And that's a big problem because then they go, all right, well, now we'll only use the biggest stars in the world and we'll pay them $35, $40 million to be in it, which is fine for those to exist. But when you put all of your energy into those types of movies, then you're not really looking to make Moonlight. You're not looking to, break ground. And so they don't trust their own innovation and creativity. They really only trust more than ever a super famous worldwide star to attract subscribers. So it's the worst version of bean counting. And it took a few years for it to happen. But now they have so much information. They're like, yeah, people don't like this type of movie. And that, I think, is the tragedy of all of this, which is it's so money-driven. And it wasn't in the beginning when the streaming started. Some of the appeal was we're taking crazy chances. Yeah. And a lot of that is beginning to disappear.
Yeah, that's gone.
I mean, if you look at the world right now, because there's not an enormous amount of support from the studios for comedies, and a lot of the big comedy stars aren't in the theaters anymore, we almost don't have the next generation of comedy stars. And then it becomes something that you can't stop because we haven't trained the audience to watch comedies and we haven't introduced them to people who become the next Kristen Wiig or Sandler. And so, that funk happens. And then people are like, do we even need it? And that's the problem because if you notice on all streamers, everything leads to like murder, true crime, kids being abused, women being abused, and they get huge numbers for that. So you go, wow, there's a lot of that on there.
Right. A lot of serial killer docu style.
It's stuff. Very like if it bleeds, it leads. Becomes such an enormous part of it because I don't think that everyone is focused enough on let's do something good that we're all proud of. Like just because people would watch a lot of that, do we have to make that much of it? And I think the stock market and the financial forces say, yes, you're not allowed to try to make these other movies. You're not allowed to try, to make Boogie Nights. You need to stay mainly on the topics that our metadata says people like. And that's a natural part of business, but it's way worse than it used to be. It used to be, there was always the, popcorn movies and then challenging movies. But, when streamers lose interest in independent film, they think, well, we're not getting enough viewers and it's not in the theaters, it can completely disappear. That part's really scary.
So what is the antidote to that?
The mistake that they're making is they want everything to be flashy so you'll get the streamer to see the show, right? I want you to see this because it looks wild. But a lot of great stuff is more muted and it's subtler. And so you lose all of that. So for a TV show, they want a big loud show. They always say, we want it to be sticky. That's what they'll say. And then they also think that the amount of people watching it generally goes down year to year, and they don't really need more than 2 or 3 seasons of it. So the audience doesn't have that relationship. And they also don't trust the streamers because they think, well, I don't want to fall in love with this show because I'm not going to get 6 seasons out of it. I'm not going to get that relationship. Anymore. And it doesn't have to be like everything conquers the world. There should be things on streamers that don't make economic sense. And I think in the old days, someone like Brandon Tartikoff would go, I believe in Cheers. I'm just not going to cancel it. I believe in Seinfeld. And that would happen. Shows sometimes took 2-3 years to find their audience. And those are the shows that all the streamers want to re-air.
Right.
Or all those shows that were believed in when they weren't doing great. Like even with movies, I know even from studio heads are like, I make this movie so I'm allowed to make this one. I'll take the hit on this small one because I really am proud of it. And we need more of that. Things that don't make economic sense.
Right.
And then we would love our streamers more because it would have a little more heartbeat to it.
It's almost like you need a new streaming service where the mission statement isn't growth necessarily. It's just like, let's just
quality.
Like a Criterion collection for just cool shit that's new, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like all these places just want to be, not in the worst way, but they just want to be Walmart. They just want to have everything on it so you never go to the other streamer.
Yeah.
And as a result, they lose some personality. And everyone's spread too thin. It's everyone has to make too much. It takes people to help you with these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how many people know how to develop comedy? How many people know how to develop shows? How do you learn how to do it? Do you have enough time on one or two shows? Say you're covering 30 shows. Can you really learn how to do it versus if you just had 3 shows or 4 shows that you were responsible for as an executive? So there's all sorts of reasons why things get flattened out. And all the people involved there, everyone is, they're all like good people. They're all smart and funny and interesting. It's just the system is so dominant, and the people who control the levers of it, I don't know if enough of the time they're pushing for experimentation, because that's how you get the Sopranos. That's how you...
Right, and you need every once in a while, the Squid Game comes along to remind everyone, like, oh, it's something really good that's brand new and completely out of the box.
Beef.
That gets people excited about, Beef. Exactly.
Beef is an amazing show.
Yeah.
Remarkable. But we just need more of that, right? Like, how did that even happen? When I watch, I'm like, how did this even happen?
It's the craziest shit, that show.
And White Lotus happened because there was a pandemic and they needed a show, and Mike said, I have an idea, and they let him do it at a time when no one else really could get into production.
And it wasn't meant to be more than a season.
Yeah. And so they trusted him.
Cornerstone of HBO.
Yeah. And so it's those weird flukes. So you have to create an environment for flukes. You have to let creative people really take big risks to have that reward. And so that's the danger of a system that really rewards what they perceive as successful, because things can get a lot of viewers. But this is my new thought. You can have things that a lot of people watch, but it also doesn't mean they liked it. They talk a lot about completion rate. Oh, well, they completed it. I complete a lot of shit I don't like.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Are you a guy who's just going to see it through no matter what? Or do you pull the ripcord like on episode 2 of something that's not?
I tend to only pull the ripcord because my wife has advanced ahead of me. And then, I'll come home and we're on episode 2 and she's like, I watched 5 today. And then I can't find the time alone to watch the rest of the series. But I do think that's a big part of it, which is pride in the work above the numbers. That's what people can feel. You can feel the love of it and the passion for it. It's not just a placeholder. It's not filling a need.